Good morning. Thanks for joining us. Do you know of a female right now who's flown those huge airplanes and has their own aviation camp right here in the Carolinas for your kids? Yep, she's back. It's Brenda E. Robinson.
Is it true that pilots have to do so much? They have to do a lot of memorization.
Yes.
But how much training does a pilot need? So say, for instance, you got your license, you did all your training,
Yes,
and you're out on the road. Do you go back every 2 years, every 5 years for training? What's the deal?
Yeah, well, we go back every year, minimum, maybe less than that, maybe, 9 months is they've kind of moved it around, but it depends on the airline, but it's never less than 12 months. You go back for training, and training is not some, little classroom time or whatever it is. It is memorization and updates on anything that's going on with your airplane and check rides, or I should say testing, either verbal testing, airplane testing, see what kind of emergency procedures you remember. And I was telling you that we don't do straight and level. We don't come to simulators and fly straight and level. That's for when you're out on the road. You can do that on your own. When you come to a simulator, it is engine failure after, whatever this malfunction is, after that malfunction, it is constant. You have to always be thinking. And at the same time, you still have to incorporate all the normal stuff, like how do you get into this airport where you have a very complicated instrument approach. The weather is not as much as a factor, but we have to deal with severe weather. Okay, so now we throw that in there. There's just so many aspects of what happens with that airplane. We have to train every single year. And it's not like we don't know what it is. It's just that when you get in an airplane, the airplane is smooth and life is good. And you take off, you fly to altitude, you descend, you land. Nice. But we always have to know every single thing that has ever gone wrong on that airplane. Ever.
Are they honest and they tell you what has ever gone wrong with an airplane?
It's easy for us. Let's say there was an accident in Europe on an airplane. All right, so as soon as that accident happens, the NTSB goes to the accident to determine what happened. Then I say to people, then the insurance companies, the lawyers, the airplane manufacturer, the engine manufacturer, NTSB, they all get together, and this is not true, but in my opinion, they all get together and say, okay, this is what happened. This is how they responded to what happened. This is the way they should have responded to what happened. They package it all in a nice little bow and they send it out to the airlines and anybody who has that airplane and says, teach your people this procedure from now on so this never happens. So they do it to every single thing that has ever happened on that airplane. So that's why I say that we are a total expert in anything that's ever happened. You can't tell me anything about the airplane that I fly that I don't know about already. And here's the funny thing. If an airplane has an accident, you call in a pilot who actually flew that airplane and they can tell you, without all the answers being in yet, what they think probably happened. If they don't have all the facts, then they're really not going to be that accurate. They are going to be able to say, yeah, if this airplane did this and that engine sounded like that, they were probably doing this, as opposed to people, trying to guess what they think it is. This is what we do. And that's what training is all about. It's always knowing what this airplane is capable of, what we're capable of, and proving every year to somebody else, a check airman, the FAA, they do our check rides. We are proving to somebody that we are capable and competent to handle this airplane no matter what happens to it.
When you have the camps for teens, do they see that simulator that you're talking about that the pilots have to train on?
It depends on what airport I'm at. Up in Concord, there's a company there called Fly-Right. I am actually an instructor at Fly-Right. And you know how I found Fly-Right?
How?
I had kids in a camp at Concord. I'm showing them the race car driver's hangar. They have airplanes up there. I'm showing them the little control tower. I'm showing them a police helicopter. I'm showing them the medevacs. And they said, go on over to Fly-Right and check them out. Show that to the kids. So I did. I went over to Fly-Right, and they have full motion simulators there for different airplanes. And so I walked in there, and I'm looking at, I've flown 12 different airplanes in my lifetime, and I'm looking around, and I go, hey, I flew this airplane once, the airplane that they happened to be teaching, and I was a twin-engine King Air, Super King Air 200. And I was a unit evaluator instructor on that airplane in Guam. I was flying out of Guam, and I was teaching adult students. They were already flying, but I was teaching them on that airplane and flying different missions. So I was like, this is cool. And they go, well, we're looking for instructors. And it just so happens, I'm like, that's great. So I applied and got that job. So I also worked there. But that's how I found them. But there are other simulators, like the one here in Charlotte. American Airlines has their whole facility right here of simulators. And those things run probably 24 hours. A massive number of pilots. Got to get them all in. They got to complete those check rides within that 12-month period. So it is a constant training environment.